Thokozani, Thokozani, I'm so sorry I am late. Thokozani, Jennifer, how are you? It's growing, it's growing. People are coming. I'm so sorry I'm late, guys. I'm actually late because I was preparing for this teaching. When I offered to do it, I did not realize how much I actually want to say about it. So, of course, you know me, I'm always looking for ways to make things understandable. And so I went down the rabbit hole of getting pictures, especially for this lesson. Pictures are very important. Kamaku. Hello, Duchess, Ndovgazi, Bonita, how are you? Viola, Vuyelwa, how are you guys doing? I'm so sorry I'm late, but I hope it was worth the wait because we have a lot to unpack. Matter of fact, we're not going to be able to unpack it all. However, what I will do is I will create a reference list so that you guys can go and read further for yourselves. So let's wait for a few more people to come on, and then I'm going to start right away. Otherwise, how's everyone doing? You guys are good? Happy Friday. What's everyone doing this Friday? Nyagup. Shama, get down. You guys, what are you doing Friday? It's evening. Well, if you're here with me, then it means you're as boring as I am. It means you're also sitting in your house. You are nowhere fun, okay? Well, we'll create our own fun here, right? We have a different kind of fun. But yeah, I wish you guys a great weekend. Let's see who else is going to show up. Pebetse, Nosipho, Sandra, Ninjani. Okay, you know what? Tingbulise, Umana, Togoza, Umagakeya. Brenda, Togoza, Ninjani. Stogozen, Togozani, Kamagwini, Tobela, Lesedi Lehanya, Dumelang, Kwaziwai, Muribwanji, Jambo, Kilode, Nangadev. So, yes, guys, we have a lot to cover today. And so I'm going to get right into it. So, the reason I thought it was important for us to do this class of symbology, as I will call it. I don't know that it's called that anyway, but, you know, biology, symbology, you know. Right. So I thought it was important to do this class because I think there's just a lot of fear and misunderstandings around symbols out there. And I want to kind of contextualize this lesson. We're going to talk about some Kemetic symbols. I'm going to talk about some of the more problematic symbols, the ones that make everybody freak out. But I need you to understand something. In ancient Africa, our ancestors communicated information, wrote information down through symbols. In other words, there was no alphabet as we know it, but they used certain symbols to represent either one particular thing or to represent a sound, which is basically what an alphabet is. And the way we were left information about our ancient ancestors, if we go to Southern Africa, we know that there are a lot of cave paintings. Those cave paintings, if studied correctly, you will see that actually tell a story, right? And in these cave paintings, you know, those of you who've seen some of the cave paintings, you know, there are animals represented, there are humans, but then there are other things that had to be represented in a particular way. So, for example, for rain or for clouds, you will see a picture that looks like a cloud with things that look like drops of rain. So if there was rain in the story, you would see that depicted in the painting, right? if there was wind blowing, you might see that represented by waves. Or you might see it represented by a tree that's going this way to show that its leaves and its branches were being blown by the wind. What I'm trying to say to you is that the advent of the alphabet, this Greek alphabet, there was the Greek alphabet, now we have this alphabet that we use now. What is it? Is it the Roman? I don't know what alphabet we're using, to be honest, I don't care. But the alphabet we are using now to write in is actually also derived from these symbols. So there has been a progression in how the alphabet as we know it today has been formed. And all of this is based out of ancient Africa. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is that, so in different kingdoms, there were different symbols to represent different things. I'll give you examples so you understand what I'm talking about. So the Ashanti of Ghana have a set of symbols, and I'm talking there are hundreds and hundreds of them. I just printed out a piece called Adrinkas. These are the Adrinkas. Right? Do you see them? These are the Adrinkas of the Ashanti people. And each of these symbols represents either an object or a concept. Right? Another thing is the Ifa, the Yoruba. They have a system of divination that is actually the binary system, which actually predates ancient Kemet and is used now in computer programming. You see how we always say everything tracks back to Africa. So this is the Ifa divination system, binary system of zeros and ones, zeros and ones, zeros and one. They too have their own symbology if you look at it. Now, I can't tell you I know what those symbols mean because quite frankly, almost every culture on the continent had its own symbols, right? Just stay with me here. The Dogon of Mali, the astronomers who studied the stars, the ones who got what I call divine inspiration, because a lot of people wonder how on earth did the Dogon people know about all the planetary systems, how they were arranged, what they looked like, including the rings of Saturn, because they drew them. Right? So they knew all this, and then they are the ones who discovered stars, Sirius A and Sirius B. They are the ones who knew of the Orion belt way before telescopes were invented. And they wrote this information down in the form of symbols. The Dogon have a creation story that is very much like the creation story that is told in ancient Kemet, which starts with what we call Ptah, which is that spark of life. And the way they drew it, in fact, my graphic got cut, which upsets me. But the way they drew it initially was just one circle with a dot, that spark of life. Then, of course, from that, then came this circle, which was the universe wanting to express itself and then recreating itself in all these circles. Scientists have taken this model to mimic cell division, the division that takes place from one single cell. So I want you guys to understand when I say there is no civilization except African civilization, because ancient Africans were traveling to other geographical places and teaching knowledge. I've said this before. The thing that we call Pythagoras' theorem was actually not Pythagoras, was a student of Imhotep. Years before that, Imhotep was the one who not wrote the way we know, but drew out this Pythagoras theorem. So that triangle, that Pythagorean triangle, formed the basis of the pyramids, because many people want to know, like, who were these people who built pyramids? Where did they have this knowledge? Well, Africans have been scholars of nature, have been the people who literally began understanding the connection between the earth, what happens on the earth, the energies that control the earth and that bring forth creation, and the cosmos. And they spread this knowledge from place to place. So you will find African symbols in Hinduism. You will find African symbols in Buddhism. You will find African symbols in Taoism. Wherever there's any kind of religion, including Christianity, you will find ancient African symbols. I hope, are we following me? Right. Now, I want to show you something. So again, these are just certain symbols that, these are Dogon symbols, and how science has kind of used those symbols to answer their own current scientific questions, only to realize these questions were answered a long time ago. They weren't translated into this lingua franca, French, German, these horrible languages that we now all have to use because of colonization and slavery, right? Now, I also wanted to dispel and to talk about the more problematic symbols right now, because once I get that out of the way, then I can go into Kemetic symbols, which are very important and very beautiful. There is this one symbol that seems to freak everybody out, and it is this symbol here. Right? This one that is seen on the US dollar. This symbol, if you notice, I mean, what's on it? This is all ancient Kemet or Africa, right? This is a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid sits a triangle, right? And in the triangle is an eye. Now, you guys know we've just come out of the season of Heru. And in the season of Heru, we talk about Heru having lost his eye in the fight with Set Umbidlizi. But eventually, he overcame. So, this eye, the eye of Heru, is the one that was put here by the Freemasons. This is a Freemason symbol, but actually it's not, because it's a plagiarized symbol. And then in the triangle is this eye that looks like a human eye, an all-seeing eye. They call it the eye of God, the all-seeing eye. We know it to be the eye of Horus, right? Which is an ancient African symbol. I wanted to put this here because there is a problem when I post, and this is where it came from. I posted, I think, one of these symbols as a post, and I can't remember what the caption was, but it literally spoke about the meaning in the entire symbol, including the snakes that are there. Now, guys, again, you're going to need to divest yourself of this whole Judeo-Christian nonsense where the snake was something that was demonized, because there is nothing that is created evil. There isn't. It is what humans then choose to do with these things. So, there are many, many different cults out there that have adopted these African symbols because of their potency and their power. What these cults are doing behind closed doors, I don't know, and I don't really care. It's got nothing to do with me, and I'm not going to name names. I named Freemasonry because that's just known that this is a Freemason symbol, right? Now, if you want to go dig up who are the Freemasons and what they do, that's entirely up to you. And I think it's good research to learn. There are many, many different cults out there. And I also want to take this opportunity to speak about what is a cult. A cult is it's like an institution or an organization that has what is called a closed practice. By closed practice, meaning that there are rituals and things done in secrecy that the world cannot and does not know about. Right? These Now, whether these cults are cults for good or cults for bad, questionable. It's questionable, right? But what I'm trying to say to you guys is don't get freaked out by words like cult. Don't get freaked out by words like the occult. The word occult, O-C-C-U-L-T, literally and simply means that which is hidden. So occult, and I've explained that cults have closed practices. In other words, you have to be in it to know what actually goes on in it. Cults also have a process of initiation. Okay, you might say, fine, then, okay, is ubungoma a cult? Based on the definition I've given you, yes. Why? Because ubungoma is something you get initiated into and is a closed practice, meaning there are certain things that we as initiated sangomas do not publicly share. You only get to know about them once you are in and you go through the initiation. Unfortunately for us, it's a closed, open practice now because there are people who are doing terrible things, especially on social media, showing things that they shouldn't show. And there's a reason behind some of the closedness of the practice. It's to keep certain things sacred. It's to keep certain things sacred. Not secret, sacred. What does sacred mean? Sacred are things that are of such value that they really have no business being out there in the open world. Sacred practices are those things that are being done quietly because they involve a lot of power. They involve a lot of invocation of ancestors. I'm talking about ubungoma. I'm talking about Ifa. I'm talking about there's Kongo Nkisi. There are different traditions of spirituality on the continent that are closed practices. However, and in these cults, for lack of a better word, they have their own closed practices. Now, what rituals and so on are done in there, we don't know. Why? It's a closed practice. If you want to find out what the Freemasons are doing, go and join them. Right? But I think there's a tendency to sensationalize things that we don't understand and therefore fear them. So I want to dispel that myth. When you see a symbol like this, don't be quick to charge and say, hey, Satanism. Oh, guys in. Now, are they cults of Satan? Mm-hmm. Do they appropriate African symbology? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't prevent us as Africans using our own symbols in their originality and their true meaning. What, should we throw away our symbols, the symbols of our forefathers, because some height person decided to do some nefarious things with it? Of course, we're not going to do that. So I needed you guys to understand this, so that in future, if you see me post some kind of symbol there and you're like, what's going on? Please understand that all it is I'm using. Yes, yeah, there is. Yeah. So you're saying that symbol is for Illuminatis. Okay, I did not want us to mention names on this, please, because I don't want to bring myself under scrutiny by people. Some of these people are very dangerous, and I do not want to provoke, and I did not want to make it about them. I just wanted, if you could just delete your comment, I'd really appreciate it. I literally am here, number one, to dispel any fear and to educate around symbols and symbology, right? Please remove that, please remove your comments that mention that name, please. I do not want any trouble. So if you can kindly help me by deleting your comments. So now that we've talked about that, and you understand the origins of these symbols, there's something else I want to share with you. So a lot of people have said things like, well, then is GK a cult? No. No, it's not a cult. It's a movement. It's an open movement where any African person, Bagwantu, from across the world can be a part of. What's the difference between a cult and a movement? Yeah, well, I've said the obvious about a cult, right? It's a closed practice. There's initiations. There's nothing like that here. You join, what is a movement? A movement is a group of like-minded people who believe in the same things. It's a group of like-minded people who start to think about the world in a different way and who will push for change. Simple. There is no membership fee. There is no card carrying. There is no sign on the dotted line. Absolutely not. You are part of the community as long as you have melanin in your skin. If you are not part of the community, it's literally like, okay, you're not part of the community, so this movement is so big and will grow so big. It has no structure. It's not an organization where you have a CEO and then you have a secretary general and then you have the treasurer and then you have this. No, it's not that kind of party. So I wanted to dispel that myth too, so that as you see Kemetic symbols, we are literally just sankofering. What does sankofa mean? Sankofa means we're going back in time to retrieve that which was lost during what I call the dark age of enslavement and colonization. Now, to the next point associated with this, there is this whole idea that people are like, yeah, what do we have to do with Egypt? What do we have to do with Kemet? Well, guys, Kemet means black. And unbeknownst to you, I'll tell you, Kemet is northern Kemet. There was southern Kemet, which sits in South Africa. That's why Adam's calendar in Zalo Elanga is over there. That's why we have a lot. The oldest ankh is is carved onto stone in Zalo Elanga. The Sumerian Cross. What is the Sumerian Cross? I'll just draw it for you. Which, you guys have probably heard about the Sumerian civilization, which is where white people like to start talking about civilization because it conveniently leaves out the interior of Africa. This is the Sumerian Cross, this one. A lot of you guys who've got Istunywa, sometimes you dream of this kind of cross for your Tusi and you end up. That is called the Sumerian Cross. The oldest is in Inzalo Elanga, so that Inzalo Elanga and the civilization from that space is older than Sumerian civilization. So once again, Umlungu has been lying to us all along because now we have the evidence to show this, right? In talking about Northern Kemet, one of the things you also need to understand historically, and you guys, if you want to know more, you really, when Kemet University opens, you need to enroll in classes to understand African philosophy and history, because this will make better sense. I can only say so much or teach so much on a live, right? But remember that Africa was divided into many kingdoms. Some of which I've mentioned, the Ashanti, you saw their own Adrinka writing system. The Dogon, you saw their own writing system. The Yoruba had their own writing system. All across Southern Africa and just the whole of Africa, there were different kingdoms. We have Mapungubwe, which was a central place. We have the Great Zimbabwe, which was a central place. And initiates and scholars would travel to Northern Kemet, which is why all the knowledge seems to be crystallized there. But that knowledge was crystallized there coming out of the interior of Africa. So when I say Africa is Kemet, I mean that in the literal sense. Now, it's not just everybody who traveled up there. there were certain initiates and certain gifted people and scholars who were chosen by royal houses to represent them and to go to Kemet. So the knowledge that I teach you, the knowledge GAK teaches you, is a crystallization of the knowledge that came out of the interior of Africa. That is why wherever we go, we still find remnants of this knowledge from the interior of Africa. Am I making sense? Right. Now you say to yourself, with all the languages that are in Africa and its diversity of culture and ethnicities, how did these people then communicate with one another when they got up there to do scholarly things and to learn and so on and so forth? You ask yourself, well, there was a common language, and that language is called Medu Nature. That language, again, is a language that is based on symbols. Here it is. This was the language that unified bona bekhula basekemu. Because in Southern Africa, that's what they called themselves. Bona bakhulu basekemu. So yes, so when people like Africa never had a common language, will never have a common language, that's a lie, a bold-faced lie. When we say Africa was one, we really mean that. Were there all these other languages? Absolutely. And they're all interrelated, these languages. But there was a common language called Medu Nature, which, boom, used symbols to communicate. I hope I'm answering some questions that you may have had in the back of your mind but didn't quite know how to ask. Because I think going forward, you will have a better grounding of how this so-called Kemet up in the north is connected to us across the entire continent of Africa. And that's why we want to use the African calendar as a unifier of all of us once again. Yes, we all don't have a common language. Some of us are studying Medu Nature, right? Many more people will study that language. And this is a powerful language because of its structure and the way it is spoken. You know, I'm always talking about creating resonance between the cosmos and us when we phahla, right? This language has the sounds. Remember, Umlungu tried to wipe out all languages that had the clicks and the sounds, the guttural sounds. Ukuqoqoda, ixoxo. They were intent on wiping out those languages because of the vibrational frequencies that these languages create so that you make that connection with the cosmos. So wherever you can, whenever you can, use your native language. Your native language is powerful. Islungu is a dead language, if you will call it that. We have to use it because how am I going to teach people from Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica, people from America, because of what has happened to us? Unfortunately, for now, we will have to use this language to communicate with one another. But many of us have a vision, maybe not in our lifetime, where we resurrect, because a lot of people are learning Medu Nature. Once that has been resurrected and we all learn this language, we have a common language. So, am I making sense? If I'm making sense, give me some love hearts, because now we're going to get into the more powerful and interesting stuff. Because what I'd like to do is, now that I've dispelled the myth around that pyramid and that triangle and that eye, and I've explained to you that we are a people of symbols. We are a people of symbols. That's why I always teach in pictures. How many of you struggle with reading in the classroom? Oh, you read, you start falling asleep. But when I show you pictures, it sticks. Why? Because we as 9 ether beings have a photographic memory. We are wired for symbols and pictures. That's why for many of you, learning Medu Nature will be nothing, because it's all symbols. You'll have to learn the pronunciations of certain things, but it's symbols. Right? So science, you name it, everything that is recorded in ancient Kemet, right, is in symbols. I'll tell you something for nothing, and I'm going to post this. It'll make you guys laugh. So you see these emojis that we now have. Guess where Umlungu got that idea? Right? So they're always plagiarizing and copying because they don't have the ability to create new things. They don't. So they are not nine either, like the rest of us. Someone is laughing. I'm not lying. And people don't like the truth most times. But it is what it is. So know your greatness. Now, let us look at some of the common symbols that you're going to find in ancient Kemet. I think this is very important. There's that eye that scares you guys that Abelungu have appropriated to put on their cults, right? So we have these different symbols. And you know what? I'm going to start off with the Ankh. This is one of my favorite. The Ankh. What is the Ankh? The Ankh is usually seen and it's associated with Unomkhubulwane Asa. No, Auset, actually. So you see a lot of her pictures. In fact, you see a lot of the principles as we speak of them, these energies with this. Why? Because this is a symbol for eternal life. Some people will call it the key of life, right? Now, when you look at this Ankh, this top part represents the divine feminine, the womb. It's very much shaped like a womb. This part are the children. This part is the divine masculine. And so the divine feminine and the divine masculine meet here with the children. It's kind of like a trinity, right? We know that in Kemetic terms, our trinity is Asa, Auset, Heru. Asa, Auset, Heru. So this is that symbol. Another, what does the symbol mean? You know, all these people who are going crazy, who are like, yeah, you know what? Women were pulled out of the rib of men. And there's no way that can happen because women came first, then men, then children. Does that make sense? Another way that this is looked at is, if you look at this symbol, it's very much shaped like the female reproductive system, right? Where we have the womb, we have the fallopian tubes, then we have the vaginal canal. So this symbol is a symbol of eternal life. It is a life-giving symbol. Wearing an Ankh has the ability to connect you with the infinite, because life is infinite. So wearing an Ankh is also protective, right? That's one powerful symbol, Kemetic symbol. The Ankh gang. I love the Ankh, right? Then, of course, we have the pyramid. The pyramid, which starts with that equilateral, with the triangle. There's the triangle, right? The triangle is the basis of many, many different things. Sacred geometry. And we will talk about sacred geometry at some point, because as above, so below, there are a lot of things that are mimicked in terms of how they are structured geometrically in the cosmos, exactly the same here on Earth, not only in the plant kingdom, but in the animal kingdom and in you. So when we get to that, you will start to see how beautiful African science, African spirituality is, because it really is about knowledge. It really is about connection with nature and understanding nature. So the next one is this one. There's another one that causes problems. This one. This is the eagle. In fact, this is the falcon, right? And if you notice when we're studying Heru, we talked about the falcon as representing Uheru, right? Inkosana. Inkosana, who is born out of Asa and Auset, right? Now remember, these are not human beings. So we know that Asa represents Ilanga. We know that Auset represents the moon. We know that the moon is who filters the energy of the sun from coming down on earth and burning everything. The moon is who controls the energy of the sun, so that the sun's rays, because if there was no moon, there would be no life on this planet, because we would be burnt to a crisp. Sun's too hot. So the moon filters that energy so that, and what is required, or the appropriate amount, is what filters down to us in order to give life. That union of Asa and Aset results in Heru, which we know now Heru is hydrogen. No, Heru is actually nitrogen, not hydrogen. Hydrogen is... So again, science. Guys, get to Kemetic University, please. I'm even getting frustrated with myself because I'm going too far with this. But just understand that we're talking about energies, principles, and the elements as we know them. Right? So that's why we call Heru the unifying field, or the unified field, because it is a union of Asa and of Set that results in Heru. Now, if you look at a triangle, that Pythagoras' nonsense triangle, Imhotep's triangle, we have Asa, Auset, and Heru, the right angle triangle. And that is the basis of what we call sacred geometry, which is what instructed the building of the pyramids. It's all scientific. It's all there. So, I've explained to you this symbol. I'm not going to go into detail on each of those little symbols. That is a whole class on its own in understanding, like, why is this disc on his head and what is this going on? It just we will go crazy. But just suffice it to say that this is probably the sun and the moon combined together in Heru, just like I've tried to explain. Right, the next symbol is, let's talk about the scarab. This one. The scarab is the dung beetle. And in ancient Kemet, that dung beetle represents transformation. It represents new life. If you know anything about the dung beetle lays its eggs in like cow dung or elephant dung. Those eggs hatch, the babies feed off of that, and then they crawl out. It's a representation of transformation. So each of these symbols, as you see them, means something. And the depth of the meaning is a whole study in and of its own. I'm just here to give you the bits of it. Right. Now, what else is there that I can talk? The lotus. Remember when we did one of the goddesses? I'm having a moment. Who was it then we were doing? We were doing Heteru. We're doing the goddess Heteru, and at that time we were talking about the lotus. The lotus, its importance, the lotus as a drink, as a tonic, as a food, the blue lotus from the Nile. I think I even showed you guys some lotus leaves because, yeah, I like the tea. And so that is the lotus. And what is the symbolism of the lotus? The lotus represents emergence. It represents emergence. We know that a lotus it grows in swampy, muddy water. But when it comes up, it sits on a lily pad and is pure and clean. It is not muddied by the water. So that is the symbolism of the lotus, right? What else? I think those are the important ones that I can share with you in the time that we have, actually. Yeah, there are a few more. But I'm here to answer questions. If anyone wants, I think it's important that we answer questions. There's just so much material, guys. I'll never finish it. Like, there are over, I don't know how many symbols there are, but there are hundreds and hundreds of symbols. And a lot of these symbols, like I've said, they've been taken and appropriated. The Kabbalah, the tree, the Kabbalah people. What's Kabbalah? Kabbalah is like a religion that is an offshoot of Judaism. It's also kind of one of these new world religions or spiritualities or paths, if you like. And their symbol is the tree of life. The Kemetic tree of life, I wish I had a picture of it. So there again is another appropriation. And so if you Google tree of life, the one that you're going to find is the Kabbalistic tree of life. And we know that that's not the case. Right? Oh, network is bad. No, I always save all my lives just so that you guys have everything. So this is a goddess, towards a goddess of knowledge. I'm in, just network is very terrible. Don't worry, guys, you know. I always save these lives. And I would encourage you to come back and watch this one. Because again, it will help you dispel any myths and fears that you may have based on what you may hear out there, which is, you know, most times it's just utter nonsense because, again, it's people who are ignorant or people who choose to misunderstand and therefore give out false information. Remember, Uguti, in this time that we're in, we are growing as a movement, and there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable because this movement is the only movement that literally gives you the unfiltered truth. We don't hybridize knowledge. We are not trying to find blackness in the Bible because we know it's not there. We are not trying to find blackness because what is a better way to really know who you are than to go to source, to go to the beginning of it all? Why are you going to follow some Fong Kong religion, which is literally a plagiarization, not even of the entire, but of bits and pieces which were distorted to enslave you, which were distorted to colonize you? Why? One of the things that, the terrible things that has happened is the externalization of God, right? So that you fail to realize that actually you are God, because as above, so below. You are a piece of Creator. Creator created herself, itself, himself, decided to create a version of themselves so they could see themselves. That's who you are. But umlungu wayithatha leyo concept, took it, externalized God, then took the laws of Ma'at. See, if you read the laws of Ma'at, they are I statements. Why? Because each and every person is powerful in and of themselves to be able to abide by these universal principles without external policing. Why do you think we had no prisons in ancient Africa? Why? Why do you think even today in some groups, I know for example in my village, even if the police are called after a murder, the families still go to the king so that there is a way, a spiritual way to resolve that conflict? Why? Because most people were governed by the laws of Ma'at because they are I statements. I will be strong. I will be honest. I will not kill. I will. So it's I statements, meaning to say there's no one outside who's going to police you but you yourself. Umlungu came and said, no man, let's externalize. And then let's just pick 10 of the 42 laws and turn them into the 10 commandments and then say, God looks like me, us. And therefore, whenever you think of God, it's imprinted in your brain that God equates whiteness. What? Now you've got this external God. Now you are removed from yourself. Then these 10 commandments that are saying, you shall not do this. You shall do that. You shall not go there. You, in other words, by externalizing God, that gave them a powerful way of controlling and manipulating. And so they weaponized the laws of Ma'at in this way. How many of you are fearful that one day, oh, God will smite me. Oh, God have mercy. That's what I'm always talking about. Forgive yourself. Because who are you waiting for to forgive you? May God forgive me. Which God? You forgive you. That's why I'm always like, forgive yourself first. Then everything else follows. So by externalizing God and putting God there as the be-all and end-all, who knows it all, who's omnipotent, and, they could give God human characteristics like our God is a vengeful God. Our God is a jealous God. The kingdom of heaven suffereth violence. This is all there. This is now all their political machinery to justify colonization and slavery. So I'm not here to bash that other religion. I know there are people who are very close to it, but all I'm here to do is to really explain to you how we got to these symbols being seen as, symbols of the dark. Because like a lot of things out of the African continent, they were appropriated by evilness for evil purposes, which was not their original intent and purpose. So if any other questions, I mean, I'm really happy to, hey, but they really tried to take our power, but we are reclaiming it back. Yes, absolutely we are. Yes, you hold yourself accountable. Yes, my art, the laws of my art. Oh, I'll post them. I'll post the 42 laws of my art. And they're really good to learn by heart. Again, anything that you internalize becomes a part of you. And the thing is, you know them. Because you were born based on these laws of balance. If my art hadn't been present as you were born, your pieces would not have come together in the orderly manner. You might have had a hand sticking out of your foot. Because my art is about law and order. So if my art had not been present when you were being knitted together in your mother's womb, maybe, who knows, maybe your nose would be somewhere here, or I don't know. So my art was present. So my art is within you. That's why you find that even little kids have a conscience. And little kids know right from wrong. You guys have caught little 2-year-olds about to do something they know is wrong, and you look at them and you're like, what are you doing? They immediately know, I've been caught. What is that? We are born with this. Tina is 9 ether beings. We are born with knowledge of right and wrong. That's why I always say some of these religions are an excuse, because then you don't hold yourself accountable, especially if there's a Satan over there who you can blame for everything. The devil made me do it. Oh, I was tempted by the devil. See, so that's why some people don't like us, because now we're getting down to basics of what it is to be umuntu. Pre-colonization. Because we know better. And when we know better, we have to do better. And a lot of people don't want to go there. It serves them very well to keep this other religion. Because then there are so many people you can blame. Like, literally, you don't take account for anything if you want. Okay? Hear this. This is truth. Nothing but the unfiltered truth. And in its purest form. Don't dilute it with anything else. Because of the essentialness. Like, it's so important for us to reconnect with those truths. Because it's literally about our survival. This time we're in this age of Aquarius, and the way the stars and the constellations are aligned for us is just perfect. We cannot afford to miss these opportunities as Bagwantu. We really have to push. So next time people see you with your ankh, or people see you wearing your ankh, or you decide to get yourself a necklace with a scarab, and people are like, hey, just explain to them. There's nothing to be feared there. These are our things. Anyone else is hold this up. I'm looking for questions. I think I missed the answer to my question about tattooing the symbols on your body. There's no effects. Effects of what? You see, you all are scared. Hey, you're told, hey, number one, tattoo is supposed to be demonic. Are you aware that our ancestors were tattooing and putting, different decorations on them? It's always been a part of us. So the tattoo was not born ngomlungu, as you all want to be told. There's nothing wrong with the tattoo. I have a tattoo of a bee on my back, and I actually want a tattoo of an ankh. I've been feeling it. Any symbol, especially these symbols, will take on the power that you energize it with. I've told you the basic meanings of this symbol, but remember, you are a creator, you are an alchemist. You can charge any symbol to have a particular meaning that is intimate to you. If you want to tattoo a lotus flower on the base of your back to show how you went through so much, but you still emerged pure and beautiful, have at it. That's what that symbol will mean for you. I mean, I've seen beautiful ankh tattoos. I'm seriously in the market. It's just that tattoo is painful, guys. When I had this one done, I was like, I like tattoos, but it's painful, So I see people are really scared of my ankh. I even have it in my car. Yeah, what are we gonna do? They're scared of your ankh, but they're not scared of a cross, which is a symbol of death. Go figure. That's umlungu tenders on our head. Sinjinj. Yeah. What is that? The cross is a horrible symbol of death. It's not a symbol of resurrection. If they wanted a symbol of resurrection, they should have used an open tomb. Right? Make sense? But they chose a cross, symbol of death. You wear a cross. You think that the ankh is scary and curses you. You're cursed in the cross and where's are the ones that they have got a little human being hanging like? Yo, I was tagat. Yo, guys. This is my body, this is my blood. Eat and drink. Sacrifice abantu. Human sacrifice. There's no ritual in African spirituality. At least the light side of African spirituality, where we are sacrificing people as a collective and eating them. Hayi bo. But nina maKristu lilabantu niphuza negazi lo muntu. Indodana eyodwa nje uNkulunkulu wathi hayi no man. Mangimiyenze sacrifice for labantu laba. NguGod onjani, ubaba onjani nalo. Imagine. Before that, hayithatha ingane yabantu, intombi into. Uthi hayizoyifaka umoya ongcwele izala ingane, destroying her engagement to Joseph. Now here she is pregnant, illegitimate child. NguGod onjani lo, you guys. You guys, the things that they made us believe. Like when I'm saying it, doesn't it sound absurd? It sounds crazy. Like, how could we have bought into this? That's tagat. Ancestral veneration. Demoni, you don't worship ancestors. That is necromancy. People are full up in their churches. St. Mary, pray for us. St. Teresa, pray for us. St. John. Who are those? They're ancestors, because those people are long dead. But whose ancestors are you calling? You are calling their ancestors on their behalf, and you wonder why you are still enslaved, and you wonder why they are still on top of you, and you wonder why they do well. You wonder why they don't bother to go and fill up churches anymore. It's only odaki ligcwele insontweni. Phahle umlungu uyadla nje. Guys! Yeah, what's Tagat Hashem? Yeah, yes, African symbols for protection. See, they know more about our stuff than we do. Yes, you're right. They will ask for them because they know more about our stuff than we do. Because why? Sila nge Bible, sila. Bona kudala babhandela lo Jesu ngoba bazi vele ukuthi basiqambela amanga. They know they lied to us. That's why they don't care. You should come over here, guys. Most of the churches here, I'm telling you, they are museums. Nobody goes to church. If you go in there, you find the odd Ghanaian or Zimbabwean praying, and it's like, I'm next life. Abanikazi bayishiya lento ngoba ngamanga. Oh, dakilikona, man. Busy eating grass. And drinking petrol. Well, I think the best way to do is be informed. I mean, of course it is. Like I'm wearing crystals. Here's mine, and this was made for me by my daughters. Now, crystals are very healing, and all the crystals that kind of heal your chakras are here. And here it says, number 1, mom. So yeah, I mean, you have power. You know, patter over your stuff. Speak to it. You don't need anyone to do that for you. You have your own power. Get in touch with it. Yeah, you guys. So please, every time you see triangles and eagles and ankhs and and scarabs and scepters, you guys all go nuts. The things you should be fearing are in the Bible. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed this as much as I have. I'm sorry that I'm laughing. And you know what? My apologies to my Christo friends. But guys, as in, I can't not laugh because... And I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because Nami, I was there. I was there. I was fully inside the inside. Do you understand? They did a number on us, guys, but I'm just grateful that we're finding our way back because unzima. So does anyone have any other questions? Thank you. Thank you for unpacking. No, I'm glad you guys, literally, I want to leave here knowing that people have gotten the gist of this, and that you've understood what really is going on. So just to put you guys in the picture before I leave. So I'm in touch with some people who are from North Africa. They're part of a group that is here on Facebook. And Islam abasayifuni yabona Afrika uyavuka manje. And I'm using isintu deliberately so that bona laba bantu who like, because they will shut my page down, especially abelungu. So yes, bayasusa ama-Arab ngale phezu, where's these places, Morocco, Tunisia, because guess what, the indigenous people of this place are still alive and well in neighboring countries, and they're all coming together saying, sibuyele ekhaya manje, your time is up. What that means for Tina is then that means ukuthi Kemetic is going to be free, because okwamanje Kemetic iphethwe ama-Arab. and by busy into yabo. And you know what they're busy doing? They're busy nabelung bahlangana, especially the French, and they're painting everything white. They are whitewashing. Have you noticed that a lot of artifacts coming out of Egypt, basusa umpumul, they remove the nose. They are busy rebuilding the white noses and painting them to whitewash. So abanikazi bendawo of those areas are saying, Siskatele, we're tired of it. So, sifuna mehambe. So, impi sesangweni, sisempini, ngempela. So, that is not umhlaba. Yes, awuso umhlaba wabo, vele. Awuso umhlaba wabo. So, the owners are going, and we are in full support ngoba vele sinto eyodwa thina. We are one people. Any other comments, questions before I bid you guys goodbye? Yo, how can I laugh at myself like this? Yes, mabawuye kumhlaba wethu. Hey guys, we have entered. See, yabo, you know it's Friday and you guys are bored and you're at home and I'm also at home and I'm bored. So this is our fun, guys. We've entered the season of Geb. I'm sharp. Alefats. Do you know what that means for us? Our collective phahla is for land back. Yabona manje into enkulu sizakwenzakala during this month, and I want you guys to just let's all be of one mind and one thought, so that we create mad resonance over this issue. Sifuna umhlaba wethu, land back. So yeah, we're into the season of Geb. Watch what's going to be happening nalo mhlaba, because Geb is also responsible for earthquakes. Geb is also responsible for the underworld. So ke masiphahle, watch the signs of the times. Don't be afraid of things, please. This is not the time for fear for Tina. Tina si sharp sinje, si right. This is our time. Oh, phahlani nje amadlozi wenu, phahlani le mimoya, these universal principles. We're good. Nothing to fear at all. Ne? So, mina ngihambe, sengihamba manje. I think we've exhausted all that is exhaustible. Ne? Yeah. Yes, okay. So, Zani, guys, love you so much. Thank you for giving me your ear. And till we meet again. Love you guys.